to our other overlay here. Oh, let me zoom in a bit because there we go. So, last week and a half, sorry, about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, it was the middle. It was the middle of last week.
We got the first preview on the Mario movie, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I actually didn't know this going in, that the people that were doing all the like Minion and Groot, not Groot, sorry, Gru, like the Despicable Me, was working on this movie. They actually do really good work. So I'm, the animations, I mean, are really good. So I didn't know, and I was excited to see that. So I don't think we should necessarily watch the full trailer, but maybe we should just get to the part with Mario. Because I feel like that's kind of the part that's the main component here that people are talking about. It's worth noting that like the first part of this whole trailer with Bowser's entrance, I don't know how you felt. I thought this was really good. This whole sequence here was really good.
I mean, generally, from what I saw, and this kind of mirrors my own thoughts, the internet's reaction to this was like, the vast majority of the trailer was really good. People really liked it. You know, the animation looks good. Bowser looked dope. Yeah, and it looks like really high quality. And then like Chris Pratt happens, and people are like, "What the frick is that?" Like,
right. I mean, in this whole sequence here, even there was like this humor. They've got like these snowballs, and it's just like
snowballs. Yeah,
this is like really nice, like little humor moment, little catapult. Love it. And like everybody else with, I just want to comment one more time. All the other voice acting feels like much better.
I think Bowser in particular like stole the show on this one.
Yeah.
Jack Black's Bowser sounds really good. Like,
he does a good job. Like all the other voices, when I was at this trailer, I was like, wow, really nice job capturing the essence of all these characters. And then we get to oh my god. All right, here we are. Then we get to Chris Pratt's Mario, and I'm going to stop the Xenoblade music for this. Oh, it's Bree. Hey Bree. It's been a minute. Okay. Okay, so that was him yelling, obviously. This is literally just Chris Pratt.
Put like a slight twinge on it.
A little bit.
Pretty much. It would be like me trying to do an Italian accent. It would mostly sound like me with like a "Let's go." It's like, okay, cool, dude. Like,
oh, I'm sorry.
I forgot who's doing Toad. It's
Keegan Michael.
Yeah, Keegan Michael.
K.
Yeah.
I forget his last name. Yeah, Keegan Michael something K or Key or something like that.
He does a good job with Toad.
It's a different Toad voice, but I think it works.
It works.
Like, it doesn't really mirror what Toad sounds like in the game, but that's okay. I think it works.
Totally fine. That Toad voice would not work on the big screen.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
Okay, like
he's like, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. It's like, can you come on, man?
I just my impression of it was when I first watched it, my only thought was that's just Chris Pratt talking. That's just Chris Pratt talking. In no way did I think like, okay, that's a good Mario voice. Like I compared it to every other voice I heard. And while they don't match what the like games have, like with Toad in particular, like you can't match that. But it works for that character. Bowser worked really well. The penguins that we saw worked really well. The wizard that talked a little bit worked really well. Even later in the trailer, when you hear Luigi like running, that kind of works pretty well. Chris Pratt is just playing Chris Pratt here. It feels like everybody else is playing a role, but Chris Pratt is playing himself. The only thing I can think of, which people were mentioning, is I think it's like a situation where Chris Pratt there's a live action section of this where Chris Pratt is just like somewhere in real life, and then he gets transported to a Mario game or something. It's the only thing I could think of to like cover, okay, the accent isn't as strong as I would have expected. He's just trying to pull off a really simple Brooklyn kind of accent. Maybe he's like from New York, and then he gets somehow transported into this video game. Only thing I can think of. Really, that's it. And if it's not that, if it's actually just supposed to be like, this is just him, Mario, and him being the voice of Mario, I mean, it's not what I would have expected at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, if that's gonna be part of the movie, like, plot, I'm gonna greatly dislike that, because I don't want... they don't need to pull the real world into this. This just can be a freaking Mario movie set in the Mushroom Kingdom. They don't need to pull in real world BS.
I'm worried about that, but the way the entrance is, where he's like completely,
he's like falling.
He's completely shocked by what he's seeing. This is what leads me and many other people to think that.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes, and the line as well, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come, is like, that makes it seem like Mario isn't from the Mushroom Kingdom in this world, which is incorrect, like, but okay, whatever.
Which is why I can only think of, like, they have a live action section, and that Chris Pratt somehow, maybe there was like an original quote unquote Mario voice, and then Chris Pratt inhabits Mario, and then it just becomes Chris Pratt as Mario. Which I don't know, like I think that's what's gonna happen here, and I don't know how I feel about that. I much prefer just stick with a Mario story. Like, I would much prefer just sticking with a Mario story. Like, you can blend some live action stuff with it, like I think Detective Pikachu pretty much does that. But the live action section is like in the world of Pokemon. Like, it's not our world. It's the world of Pokemon. And it's like, okay, we're gonna use live action, but like the Pokemon are in this world. Like, it's not our world. It's different. Like, that works pretty well. Here, I think what they're gonna do is it's just gonna be like Chris Pratt walking around Brooklyn, and then all of a sudden he gets like transported through something, and now he's here as Mario. I really worry that that's gonna be it.
Yeah, if that ends up being the plot of the movie, I probably won't see it, because I don't like that in the slightest.
Yeah,
like, I think that's really, I think it's a disservice, and like, I have a hard time believing that like Nintendo would be okay with that, and like Shigeru Miyamoto would be okay with that, because he's been very involved with the project. So
he's clearly okay with this voice. So there's something here. He's clearly, if he's that involved, like, okay, Chris Pratt, good enough. Good job. Good enough. So he's clearly okay with it. So there's something here to that, and like everybody else is apparently okay with it. They're like, okay, Chris, yeah, just don't go too strong into it, even though pretty much everybody else is really going hard into their character. Everyone else is kind of going.
The big problem is that, like, I would be okay with it if Chris Pratt was playing like anybody else, like a side character, like, fine. But he's playing freaking Mario, like, it's the main character, and you have to think he's gonna talk a lot because he's the main character.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, if we compared it to other video game movies, like, you know, I guess like Sonic being a more recent one would be a good comparison. You know, it's not like the voice of Sonic is like comparatively distinct compared to other people in the Sonic movies, but it fits Sonic pretty well, because he's like kind of that wisecracking, like, fast talking character. Yeah. So like the person that voiced it did a good job. I don't remember who it is off the top of my head. But that fits that character, and Sonic doesn't really have an accent, so it's fine. Like, it's fine. It makes sense. Mario has like a really distinctive accent and just character in general. Not hitting that is going to confuse people. Like, and Bowser in this is distinct. Like, when I saw and heard Bowser, I was like, yeah, okay, that's Bowser, sure. And every other character, I was like, yeah, sure, that works.
It doesn't sound exactly like the character does, but they're putting their own spin on it, and it sounds close enough and believable enough. We're like, okay, yeah, I dig it. Like, I dig
Yeah.
that. Like, yeah, when you hear Jack Black's Bowser, like, no, he doesn't sound exactly like Bowser does in the games, but that's fine. He
That's
still
fine, yeah.
sounds good, and like, that's a reasonable Bowser voice. I that's believable. That works. With Mario, like, we didn't hear very much. We heard him like going like oof as he falls down, and then the like one line, Mushroom Kingdom, here
Right.
we come, as he's jumping down, and
And
neither of those sounded great. So
it just
I don't
sounded
know.
like Chris Pratt. It just sounded like he was talking in a movie. It even when he fell and hit things, it is just like Chris Pratt saying oof.
Going, oof.
And that's just like, for me,
Oof.
I'm like, this would have worked if it was just live action Chris Pratt. Like, yeah, it's Chris Pratt. But you're not live action. You need to, like, this is where voice acting comes in. You got to spin your voice in such a way that it fits the character. It doesn't fit. Like, the Brooklyn accent isn't particularly strong either. It's really subtle, which is off for Mario. It doesn't have to be, like, perfectly in tune, but yeah, the people have pointed to, by the way, a French trailer of this as like the pinnacle of what Mario should sound like comparatively, and it's really good.
It sounds like Mario.
It sounds like Mario, and people are like, okay, like obviously the French voice actor knew how to do it, in a way that's believable, but I don't know. It's not going to change either. That's the thing. Like the voice you're hearing here, they're not going to do it again. I don't think they're going to retake it at all. So this is what you're going to get. I'd be surprised if they retook it.
I don't think it's a Sonic movie situation where like people
think
protested so hard that they like actually reanimated Sonic complete. Like they changed the model and
Right.
reanimated him completely. Like thank goodness, by the way, because that original one was freaking cursed.
It was
like
really bad, and I'm like an extra, like I would think it was like a 6-month delay was what they did. They're not going to delay this movie to make Chris Pratt redo the lines. And like,
and they're definitely not gonna like recast. They're not gonna like kick Chris Pratt out and recast it. I'm sure they already paid him a ton of money.
No, they're not gonna do that. Like Nintendo doesn't. I don't know if they'll do that kind of thing. Like so Nintendo delays stuff, but like they're not gonna delay this, and they're not gonna make Chris Pratt.
This has already been delayed. It was supposed to, like, originally they wanted it to come out this year, I think, and now it's not coming out until spring next year. So
they're definitely not redoing it. Yeah, this is what we get. This is what we're getting. Pending another trailer, this is what you're gonna get.
What I'm hoping is that, and this is like hopium, and I don't think this is gonna be the case. What I'm hoping is that this was just like a bad representation, like that other lines in the movie will be better, basically, that like they just didn't pick good lines for Chris Pratt in this particular like which I don't know why they would do that. You would think they'd want to put their best foot forward, but
right,
you know, I'm just gonna hope that this is like the worst of it, and that other parts of the movie he's better.
If it's this voice for the whole movie, what would be your impression of it? Let's pretend that you are going to go see it. Let's pretend you are seeing it, okay? Just for the sake of argument, you're seeing it, and this is the voice you get with the like very, I would say, slight Brooklyn accent getting in there. What would be your impression of it if that was what stuck into the movie as the final version?
I mean, assuming that the rest of the movie, like, you know, the story is, you know, decent, and the movie is like fun and entertaining, and the rest of the characters, and it's good, you know, based on from the rest of this trailer. If the movie is good, the movie is good.
Right.
It just has that little bit of like, but Chris Pratt though, like,
right.
Why?
It's like
it could have been so much better if Chris Pratt didn't ruin the main character, but I mean, it would still probably be a good movie, but it would just be one of those things where you just sigh and say like, but if only Mario was good. Like
it would throw me off consistently because Mario is the main character. This isn't just like Luigi coming in and being awkward as the voice. It's Mario. So having the main character have like this, I don't want to say it's off-putting necessarily, and like that it's like horrible and it's unbearable to listen to, but just like every time I see Mario now, I'm only going to think, yeah, Chris Pratt. That's Chris Pratt.
That's Chris Pratt.
And that's what's going to throw me off. Like with all these other video game movies recently that I found really good, like Ryan Reynolds' Pikachu, I actually didn't mind at all. It works just fine. I know it's Ryan Reynolds, but it like kind of worked because of the way that the movie is supposed to be. It's very humorous, so it's fine for me, and like it made sense with the full version of the movie getting to the end. It does make sense.
I didn't see that movie, but like Ryan Reynolds' Pikachu, like to me, like I'm imagining a very like snarky Pikachu, basically. Like
for the movie and the way that it ended, it made sense.
Yeah.
It made a ton of sense, and it was perfectly fine. And that worked. And Sonic also, like, that voice made sense. It worked really well. Like I think that was the right cast here. If we're getting this Chris Pratt Mario and it's not changing at all, like there's no evolution of this voice, or maybe there was a different take. Like this is like I don't know why they'd ever show a B take, quote unquote, but then I will be off put a little bit, and be like, that's just Chris Pratt. That's just Chris Pratt. That's just Chris Pratt. Maybe this was a miscast. This is just Chris Pratt. Miscast. Could have brought somebody else in that was more comfortable doing a heavier Brooklyn accent to try and match the character, which I'm sure Chris Pratt could do. I'm sure he could do it, actually. He just decided not to.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to see. I'm sure we'll be getting more trailers before the movie comes out, which I'm sure we'll hear more of Mario, in some of those trailers. So we'll see as it goes down the line. Everything else seems really cool.
Right.
So I have hope for this, and I'm just hoping that Chris Pratt doesn't ruin it, basically, because that was basically everyone's, like, hesitancy with this movie when they announced the cast. Everyone else, people were happy, and then they were like, Chris Pratt is Mario? What the hell is that? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
This doesn't work. I don't know. Like, Chris Pratt's, he's got a charismatic kind of character to his roles, and it's witty, and he's got the humor down. He is really good in a lot of the roles that he's played. He's really good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It doesn't scream Mario to me.
It doesn't really scream Mario to me, though. But I mean, like, I can see why you want to put a high-profile actor in this role.
All they did was get high-profile actors for this thing.
Because you want people to go to the movie that aren't just Mario people. So, like, that, I get that 100%. Like, you need to get some high-profile folks to put butts in seats. But maybe there was a different way this could have been done for Mario. Like, Chris Pratt could do a Brooklyn accent, and if he couldn't, somebody would have taught him how to do it before the movie. They did the voices for the movie, the actual reading of lines and all that. So I don't know. It's going to throw me off if it's this voice for a whole movie.
Yeah,
but like, it's not going to ruin it. I think, to your point, it's not going to ruin it by any stretch. This isn't Jar Jar Binks. This isn't Jar Jar.
If the rest of the movie's good, then it shouldn't ruin it.
Right.
It'll just be a little off-putting. But
exactly.
Whatever.
Okay, so that's Mario. I don't know. I think everybody had the same opinion on this Chris Pratt thing. Yeah. I'd love to hear somebody else say no, it was perfect, and be like, well, why do you think that?
I didn't see it.
See a single person.
I saw a lot of the poorly aged tweets, and like that tweet from a while ago that Chris Pratt made, and he was like, he just did his voice, and he's like, that's the voice, and
he said, no, that's not going to be it, and it's just like, yeah, it was actually.
And people were like quote tweeting it, were like poorly aged tweet, like you kind of got roasted on this one.
He did because it is like pretty much the same voice that he did there. He's like, that's not the voice. It's like, okay, Chris, like, and the thing is, like, he would have no excuse. Like, he could have easily, like, Nintendo, everybody involved would have gotten him somebody to train him to do that voice. Like, that wouldn't have been a problem. So,
well, like the voice actor for Mario is in the movie. Like, he's not playing Mario.
He's not playing Mario.
He's in the movie in some role. I don't think they told us what role he's playing, but like, I would hope that the real voice actor for Mario gave Chris Pratt some pointers on how to voice frickin' Mario. Like,
I don't know. Like, I don't know how Chris Pratt is. Maybe he's like, maybe he's too arrogant.
Yeah. Hollywood people tend to have a lot of pride, so
I don't know. he might have been like, I'm not taking any pointers, I'm doing it my way kind of thing. I don't know. Who knows? We're not in the room listening to that. So, okay.